Algerian actress Biyouna, better known by her stage name Biyouna, a major figure in Algerian cinema and television, died Tuesday in Algiers following an illness. At the age of 73, public television announced. The news spread quickly across social media and Algerian news outlets, prompting an immediate wave of grief, disbelief, and heartfelt tributes from fans, colleagues, and countless Algerians who had grown up watching her on screen. It wasn't just the announcement of a death. It felt like the closing of an era, the dimming of a light that had illuminated Algerian art for half a century. Biyouna was not just a performer. She was a voice, a presence, a symbol of resilience and authenticity in a region that had undergone immense social and political transformations throughout her lifetime. Her passing brought into sharp focus just how much of an imprint she had left on the cultural consciousness of her country. With her distinctive, deep, gravelly voice and a familiar face recognizable to generations of Algerians both at home and abroad, Biyouna rose to fame in 1973 at just 19 years old, thanks to her breakthrough role in the cult television series Al Harak the Fire. At the time, Algerian television was still in its formative years, and a new show that captivated the nation could propel an actor into instant stardom. For Biyouna, that moment came quickly and powerfully. Algerians tuned in every week not just for the story but to see the young woman, who seemed to radiate a kind of raw, unapologetic charisma. She had a presence that felt both grounded and electric, the sort of presence that made people stop and pay attention. Even in scenes where she barely spoke, her expressions carried entire emotions, her voice held weight, and her style, bold yet deeply human, became something audiences felt connected to almost immediately. Success from Al Harak opened many doors, and she soon appeared in other widely loved television series. But unlike many actors who remain confined to one genre or space, Biyouna expanded her artistic reach. She ventured into live performance, taking to the stage in Algiers cabarets. There, her personality had room to breathe even more freely. Her one-woman shows became a signature element of her artistic identity. She mixed humor, storytelling, social commentary, and song. She spoke to the audience the way a friend might speak to another friend late at night, bluntly, emotionally, honestly, sometimes teasingly, but always with sincerity. She had an ability to make people feel seen, understood, and comforted. In an interview with AFP in 2007, she said, "I didn't see myself as a star, but as a mother, a sister to my audience." The quote wasn't just a soundbite. It was the deepest truth of her relationship with the people who adored her. She never performed to impress. She performed to connect. And perhaps what made that bond even more powerful was her origin story. Born on September 13, 1952 in the working-class neighborhood of Belwiesdad, historically known for its lively streets, its cultural vibrancy, and its clear sense of community, shaped her identity. Her upbringing was not one of privilege, and she never forgot her roots. She carried the humor, grit, and spirit of her neighborhood into every performance. She spoke in the dialect and with the attitude of the women she grew up around, strong women who endured hardship but never lost their ability to laugh or stand tall. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, Biyouna's fame continued to grow. But it was during Algeria's Black Decade, the civil conflict that devastated the country, that her character and loyalty stood out most. As violence spread and uncertainty consumed daily life, many artists, intellectuals, and public figures fled the country. It was not a safe time to be visible, outspoken, or culturally influential. Yet Biyouna chose to stay. Remaining in Algeria during that terrifying decade was not a decision made lightly. It was an act of defiance, a statement of love for her homeland, and a testament to her belief that art must survive even in darkness. She performed when she could, comforted her audience with humor when possible, and stayed grounded, present, and unafraid. To many Algerians, her choice to remain was a symbol of courage. She became not just an entertainer but a cultural pillar, someone who refused to abandon her country at its most fragile moment. It was only after the conflict began to subside, toward the end of the 1990s, that she accepted opportunities abroad. In 1999, she collaborated with Franco-Algerian director Nader Mokhtar, who cast her in a significant role in Le Harem de Madame Osmane. This film marked the beginning of a new chapter in her artistic career, one that extended beyond Algerian borders and introduced her to international audiences. Mokhtar recognized something extraordinary in her, a capacity to embody roles that blended strength, vulnerability, humor, and emotional complexity. She wasn't the kind of actress who played characters. She became them. Directors admired her fearlessness, her refusal to sanitize or soften a performance just to make it palatable. She inhabited every role fully, giving pieces of herself to each story. As Biyouna's career expanded internationally, she continued to take on projects that reflected the realities and contradictions of Algerian and North African society. She participated in films that explored themes of womanhood, modernity, identity, and generational conflict. Her roles were often bold, sometimes controversial because she gravitated toward characters that challenged stereotypes, rather than reinforcing them. In Europe, critics praised her authenticity and magnetic screen presence. She had the rare ability to command attention even in scenes where she spoke very little. Her expressive eyes conveyed layers of meaning. Her voice, even when delivering simple sentences, carried emotional texture. And her humor remained sharp, unfiltered, and deeply rooted in her cultural heritage. Despite her growing international recognition, Biyouna always remained tied to Algeria. She returned often, participated in local productions, and stayed connected to her audience. She never shifted into the persona of the distant celebrity. She stayed accessible, grounded, and unapologetically herself. Whether performing on a stage in Paris or appearing in a television interview in Algiers, she carried the same energy, the same warmth, the same blunt humor that endeared her to people across generations. As the years passed, she became not just an actress or singer but a cultural icon. Her face was instantly recognizable. Her name invoked emotional memories. Many Algerians recalled watching her on television with their parents, remembering how their mothers would laugh at her jokes, or how their fathers would remark on her boldness. She embodied a kind of freedom of expression that was rare, especially for women of her generation. She was outspoken, sometimes provocative, but always respected. She represented the unapologetic strength of Algerian women, the ones who carry entire families on their shoulders while still finding ways to laugh, tease, and live with unbreakable spirit. Her personal life was marked by complexities and hardships, but she rarely discussed these publicly. Instead, she let her work speak for her. Those who worked closely with her often described her as both fierce and tender, someone with a commanding presence but a generous heart. She was known to support young artists, encourage new talent, and offer advice to those just beginning their careers. She believed in passing on her experience, because she understood that longevity in the entertainment industry required not just talent, but resilience, integrity, and adaptability. With time, she became a sort of living memory for Algeria's artistic evolution. She had lived through the post-independence cultural boom, the golden age of Algerian television, the turmoil of the 1990s, and the shifting artistic landscape of the 21st century. Her presence was a thread that connected multiple generations of Algerian storytelling. She weathered political changes, censorship challenges, economic instability, and shifting public tastes, yet she remained relevant, beloved, and respected. Her illness in her later years was kept relatively private. Even as her health declined, she maintained a sense of dignity, showing glimpses of her familiar humor during interviews or public appearances. She did not seek pity. She never had. Instead, she seemed to face her final chapter with the same strength she had shown throughout her life. When the news of her death was announced, it felt abrupt to many. Even though she had been ill, people weren't ready to say goodbye because figures like Biyouna, artists who shape a nation's emotional identity, become woven into the fabric of everyday life.